This National Professional Anglers Association video presentation is brought to you by Missouri Secrets Tackle and 241 Inc. Productions.
One of my questions is because I absolutely love the sport. My passion was driving it, but like Cody, I'm a family guy. I have a kid who's a freshman in college, a kid who's a freshman in high school, a daughter who's in eighth grade, um, and my body, I can tell mine is going a million miles an hour, but the body is starting to let me know that I'm not what I used to be. In saying all of that, trying to come home and full-time job of a teacher and trying to fill out all the requirements for my sponsors or my professional staff stuff, and take care of my kids and do all that, it seems like there's no room for an average guy because there's not enough time in the day for him to do that. But he's passionate. He loves the sport. How can he still move forward where there's other guys who that's their full-time job? How can that happen? How can he move forward?
Who would like to address that?
Well, what I would always say, first of all, Joe, and anybody else, excuse me, I'm fighting a head cold. First of all, family always comes first. And then the second thing I always tell, always tell my promotional staff people, let us know if you have something personal going on in your life, if something in your business world. I know I have, in my particular case, I run Wisconsin. I have people that work in paper mills. I have firefighters and family members and teachers that your schedule doesn't really match up for what we're doing. But we do not know that unless you tell us. So, for example, I'm going to use Joe because you were the question. All of a sudden, somebody says, "Geez, you see Joe around? Haven't heard a thing from Joe. Wonder what's going on." And maybe you were busy teaching basketball or doing something with your kids or something personal in your life happened. All you have to do, I can think of two particular cases in my territory right now that there's some personal situations going on, but they notified me. And my return response would that be when somebody asked me, "Where's Joe?" Well, he's got hung up on some personal stuff, and he'll be back. I mean, you always take care of your family and your personal life first, and then come to us. But if you do not communicate, the big thing, and I'm sure you're going to hear from these other people on this panel, is communication. If you do not communicate with us, and all of a sudden I hear from you 6 months down the road, and I pull your file or bring you up on the screen for what you're doing, and I don't know, then there's doubt.
I guess I got a couple comments. Joe, to help answer your question, much like Steve said, it's just be an open book with your sponsors. Let them know. I mean, that's one thing that I do when I qualify people for our pro staff program or our select angler program. You got to really think, do you have the time to devote to being a promotional angler? Because these days it's all about promotions and sales, and that's really where the rubber meets the road. So, yeah, you got to prioritize your time. That's a big part of it. And in some cases, there's nothing wrong with taking a step back. Instead of fishing 2 circuits, fish 1. You gotta make some choices there. So. Yeah. Um, well, Michelle's got a couple.
I think what I would kind of comment on that is be realistic about your expectations. So if you're very limited in the time that you have to spend, then you really need to understand that it's probably going to be a situation where it's limited as to the support that can be given to you in the beginning. But I've seen a lot of people who have changed. All of a sudden the kids are a little older, now they're getting back into it. So I think that we understand that you're going to go through different stages in your life. You're going to have issues sometimes or challenges, and we're all about that. We understand that. So as much as communicating is important, if you're just starting to get into it, be realistic about what you're looking to achieve in the beginning. We have a very entry-level program, where you can work with your dealer and do the rebate level. So there is a chance or an opportunity to get through the door, but for us at Mercury, I can't speak for everyone, it's about learning who your BDM is, like Deb Prepke for us, who's in your local area. Let them know who you are, get to know them, get hooked up with a dealer, and just start small, just baby steps. But the key is realism. Be realistic about what your expectations are and what your time limitations are.
All right. That was a great question, and there's a lot of tangents we could keep going on that one. About 10 things came into my mind, but I got another question from Brian.
Where do you see your most value add with your pro staff? What type of outlets is it? Seminars, guides, tournaments, social media? What are you looking for as far as your pro staff that gives you the most bang for your buck?
Thank you. Well, and as Michelle, as we all say, we can't speak for each other, but there are three primary areas that we look at. Every time we get any kind of an email or telephone call for someone wanting to become part of our pro staff, the first thing is, and we just hit on it, is the communications pro, if you will, the guy that communicates with us, that communicates on social media, that realizes that all these outlets are opportunities to promote them and the product. The second thing that we look at is our sales pro. You've got to be able to sell product for every one of us up here, because that's why we're here. That's why we sponsor our pro staff, is to have extended salespeople in the market, working with consumers, working with dealers, working on all the tournament series to talk about and sell our product. So you've got the sales pro and you've got the communications pro. Okay, I'll let you finish on it.
Okay. So Dave was talking about, being a good seminar speaker and being a good salesman. But one of the things that our Pure Fishing staff does real well is they're good trainers at retail. A number of the guys come in and help our sales team with sales training at particular retailers, and that's a very valuable tool that we utilize. The guys lend a lot of credibility to our products, and through videos, sales training, seminars, and just being in front of the public and giving credibility to the product is probably the most valuable part of our pro staff.
Well, as you know, Ranger, we're independent reps. There's 13 of us, and I look at my promotional staff, and some of you people that are not in my territory, your rep might look at it a little different. I look at my staff as an extension of myself, my dealer, and the company. And so in my particular case, I cannot be everywhere at once. I cannot be at every walleye tournament. I cannot be at every bass tournament or muskie tournament. Wisconsin has a lot of things going on between muskie, bass, and walleye. We kind of combine everything together. And my promotional staff people, I look them for like an extension of myself and my dealer and Ranger. And when I'm not there, they're supposed to represent us in the highest degree and help people to help us to sell more product. Pat can tell you from years' experience when we had different companies and from 30 years of business, I don't care if I was sitting here or was 25 years younger when I was younger, it comes down to one thing, and that's moving product. You can't keep the lights on this. You couldn't have these conventions. You couldn't have the boat shows. You couldn't sponsor all the tournaments like Ranger sponsors if we don't move product. And when we're moving product, that's one of my biggest deals. I know a lot of you guys see me on the docks on Saturday mornings, and we talk and BS. But if we can't move product and represent the company and represent your dealer, that's a key factor, because there's not a week goes by that's one of us gets calls looking for sponsorship. And if in my particular case, I'm not speaking for these folks. I call my dealers. So if you're in a certain area, I call that dealer. Say, hey, do you want to get involved? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? And it's very important. I always give a symbol of a stool with 3 legs on it. One's the dealer, one's the factory, and one is me. If one of those legs come off that stool, we're in big trouble.
I think all of these things are extremely important, but to help you as individuals, you are that. Each one of you is different. Each one of you has your own strengths and weaknesses. And I think if you're really wanting to represent companies, you need to be, first of all, identify what are your strengths. What do you like to do? What are you passionate about? We look at it on so many different levels. Like you've got your brand recognition. You've got things like wearing the logos on your shirts, your hats. You've got now the whole realm of social media, which is becoming extremely important. Our world is changing, technology is changing, so we as companies have to change with it. The good old boy days of a handshake and hi, how are you are important still, but it's so much goes beyond that. And so you really have to be, number one, up with how are people communicating? Where are they communicating? What are they doing? And as a person who's representing our companies, you really have to be in tune with some of these things. And then there's things like boat shows and there's tournaments. There's so many different things. Guiding, but not every one of you are going to be doing all of those things. So recognize what you're good at, what are your passions, and then make that connection with the dealer or your OEM partner and start to build on that. And communicating to us, one of the things, one of our challenges at Mercury is we have a very, very large staff as far as the pro staff goes. Guides, tournaments, and anglers. There's probably almost 2,000 now that we help and assist with sponsorships. So you could be doing the best thing in the world. You could be out there pounding the pavement, doing demo rides, doing all this stuff, but if you're not telling us what you're doing in those reports, how the heck are we supposed to help you? So you need to kind of help yourself. And as Joe said, I know some of you are really busy, but keep a log in your truck. When you talk to someone at the ramp or you take someone out on the boat, just quickly jot it down and just do it. Sometimes if you just take these little small steps, all of a sudden it's not this big hard thing where you're sitting down at the end of the year trying to figure out how you get it all down on paper. So it's a multi-layer deal, but it's just take a look at yourself, what you like to do, what your strengths and weaknesses are, and start there. That to me is a first step.
And I guess what I'll do is I sit here and listen to this, try to give you another thought process here, and that is each and every one of them have a job to do. They all have to look good to their superior, their bosses, but they're great at what they do. Do exactly what Michelle said and what Steve said, and that's communicate, but don't bury them. I mean, they don't need to know that you went to the boat landing today and talked to 6 people on an email. They need to know at the end of the year how many people you've talked to at boat landings. Is that correct, Michelle? I don't want to bury you with emails.
Or 4 times a year, you can summarize that really quickly. I mean, even like now with our phones, put it right in your phone, put it right in your iPad. Like just, it's so easy if you just do it a little step at a time. Because I know we're all guilty of this. We put things off, we procrastinate, and then all of a sudden you're sitting down at the end of the quarter going, oh gosh, I know I did this and I know I did that. So just make it easy on yourself, because you know what? It is about accountability. We can't give you something when we don't know what you're giving us in return. And I could talk about this all day, but I'll try to make this one short, because this is one that really kind of drives me crazy. I get photos of people, like, because it's important. I want to see what you guys are doing as far as, I love, sorry, I don't mean Joe to keep using you as an example, but, I love when I see you guys with all of your sponsorship stuff on. That is so amazing in your hats. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's great to be here. It's a great feeling. But I will get people who send in reports and then send me these pictures. And some people inundate me with these pictures. There's not one speck of anything to do with mercury on these pictures. If you're on the cover of a magazine, if you're in a newspaper and you're a Mercury Pro Staff or a Yamaha Pro Staff or Ranger, and there's nothing on you that has anything to do with the companies, that picture's wonderful for you, and I'm very happy for you, but that has no value to us. And sometimes I hate to say it, but if I'm really struggling with a level for someone where I'm like on the edge, and I start looking at their pictures, and there's nothing to do with anything to do with mercury, it really helps me make that decision. So just really simple things, but it just common sense, I think.
Yeah, it does. You say one thing and it triggers to the next. You know, we realize that there's a cost factor for these quarterly reports or yearly reports that you do. Some of the guys do the Cox report, and that's like $5,000-$6,000 type thing. This year last year we started a project, and this year we instituted it, where at Yamaha, with all of our pro staff, our freshwater, saltwater, walleye guys, etc., we have a new one, which is anglertrack.net, not .com, but .net. And what we've been able to do with this is exactly what Michelle was saying. You need to jot things down, keep remembering them, because you can't. I can't remember what I did 2 days ago, let alone 3 weeks ago. So what it's enabled all of our pro staff to do is to go ahead and go on, put this information in. It's on theirs. It's only accessible to us. And what happens is if they do this on an every other day kind of basis, or whenever something has happened, we can pull the exact report we need, whether it be images in magazines, whether it be stats at a tournament, whether it be dealer activation. And we can pull all this down, but what this has actually done is made it easier for all of the anglers, instead of keeping track and typing up these great big reports that a lot of them do at the end of the year, because that's how we judge. Along with our stuff that we've assimilated, we go back and we look to see what has happened throughout the year, through the quarter, and we kind of rate everybody to keep track, to see who's moving in what direction. So, there's tools out there for everybody to use that can make this a little bit easier, but it really is something that has to be done like anything on a daily or bi-daily day kind of a thing, where you have to go in and keep a master list to keep track, because it's really important to us as it would be to you in your future and your careers.
Well, I thought I'd just comment that I require quarterly reports from the guys. Some of them give me semi-annual reports, which is just fine. But I just want to share something that I want to address something that's maybe on a lot of your minds, or I get questions on it a lot, and it's in regards to the relationship with the sales team. A lot of the sales reps either really like their pro staff guys in their area, or they dislike them. And the reason for that is because a lot of the pro staff guys have to realize that they have to develop, not only do they have to develop the relationship with the pro staff manager, they have to have a relationship with the whole team at the company. And acknowledging those guys, getting to know their names, when you see them at a boat show, a sport show, an event, a retail promotion, you got to reach out to those people, and you got to get to know more than just the pro staff manager at your sponsor. You need to show those guys that not only that you care and that you're there to help affect sales, you have to prove yourself to them. And once you do that, and I could share some examples of that, you'll develop a much deeper relationship with that sponsor. So
that question led to a lot of other questions, obviously. And I'm going to go one step further with that as I go back to JK. He's got a question, and that is, having been in that side of it as a rep, don't force yourself onto them, but you need to get to know them, because they're the ones that will give you the nod or the thumbs down. It's all connected. So that rep is part of that company.
like to have each person on the panel tell the audience 3 tips you would give to a new person applying as a pro staffer in some capacity. And so if Steve has 3 tips, I want Michelle to have 3 other tips. So a dozen tips will really. And here's that. You know, the key is David won't remember them from the first 9.
Is that true? Should we go by age? Well, ladies first.
Oh, I like that guy. All right, I'm going to try to stay away from some of the obvious ones. One thing I would say to someone again, with Mercury, but I think it would be for any company, find out what the heck the program is, first of all. What are the policies? What are the programs? That's really important. You got to know what the heck we're offering. And where, then you can figure out you might fit into that. Number 2, for a company like Mercury, we have a designated timeline for our application process. Know that. Get to know what it is, because if you don't, you're not even going to be able to fill it out. So that's something that I think personally, just from my experiences, I cannot believe how many people do not read anything that we give them. We go to painstaking lengths to try to spell everything out for you. And I just get these questions that I'm like, I don't know why we bother sometimes, and it makes you so frustrated. And I'm being very honest. If one thing you'll know about me, I calls it how's it is. So I would say know what the program is, because our program may not fit well with you. Maybe Evinrude's would be better, or Yamaha's. So know what the program is. Accept what the program is. Don't fight what the program is, because it is what it is. And then secondly, what is the timeline of the program? Ours works on not a calendar year. It works from September 1st to August 31st. And because it's all encompassing and turnkey, we have to do that, because we have our elite and FLW pros that have to have their new rigs done, wrapped, and ready to go by January 1st. So we've adjusted to you guys too. So those are 2, the timeline, the program, the policies. It was at 3? Okay. Okay, I'm out.
I would say, and this again, because the industry is changing. You can talk to any of us up here or any manufacturers. This industry is changing very fast. And if you want to lead in the industry or be part of the industry and you're just starting out, watch yourself. And what I mean by that is, because you don't think I'm in the weekend sitting at a walleye tournament or these guys at a bass tournament because we want to really, boy, we're really into it. We love the sport. But when you're on that stage and you say you don't have any sponsors or just a few sponsors and you're just starting out, and we're watching you, I'll be very honest with you. We're watching how you present yourself, how you talk to other people. If you have time to maybe say hi to a little boy or a girl alongside the weigh station, how you talk yourself, how you, I'll be honest with you, how you present yourself off stage. When you're in the crowd, how you're dressed. That's number 2, how you dress, how you present yourself physically and mentally, and not only that, how you dress yourself. The guy's got his hat turned on backwards or his sunglasses up or his shirt pulled out, and maybe has an empty bottle and he's using that for a spittoon. He ain't going to get you anywhere. I'll be very honest with you. Just how it is, because we're laughing about it because we talked about it today. I mean, this is it's a how can I say it? It's a sport, but it's also a professional sport. And you are professionals, and trying to be professionals, and trying to better yourself, and to better your dealer, and to better the companies that you represent, to grow up the ladder, just like these folks talk about communications. And the next thing is, once you get started, it may not be like Michelle talks about different levels and different positions, how you start your company. Be loyal to that company. If you start jumping around and moving around, my favorite saying is, and I talked to Deb and Michelle this morning, when all you guys leave the dock in the morning and we're going, hey, good luck, catch it, what do you think we do? We don't go back to bed. We go out to breakfast or we go by the service trucks and we sit there and talk. How's this doing? How's this tournament doing? How's this guy doing? And one thing, I'm going to take 4 here, so one of you guys can have 2. Here's one of my biggest things that just drives a shiver up my spine when I'm at a tournament. And no matter what it is. And one thing about a boat business, it's not like a car. If your Ford or Chevy or Dodge breaks down, you go to one place. You go to your GM dealer, you go to your Ford dealer. When you build a boat, think how many different companies are involved. Your locator company, your motor company. Just think how many different companies are involved to build that one boat. It just drives me nuts. I got a guy up there who's got all my logos on, or he's got some of the other guys' logos on. Oh, my boat broke down. I pull him off on the back of the stage. What happened to the boat? Oh, it was an electronic failure. It wasn't the boat. The best thing you could say on that, I just had a little trouble on the water today, and hopefully I can get it going tomorrow.
Well, I'll take it. Yeah. We're gonna share in this. Yeah. So being we got the last crumbs, we're gonna share a little bit. But you know, a couple things that come to my mind. Once I've made the initial, or you've made the initial contact with me as a pro staff manager, and I say, yep, go ahead and send me a resume, a little bit about yourself, how you can help us. I get so many resumes back that are just bare bones, and they don't tell me what your strengths are. Whether it's whether you're really good at doing seminars, you're a good trainer, you know, sometimes they don't even tell me if they're a guide or a tournament fisherman, and that's one thing that I want to tell you, that when you send resumes to somebody, you also have to have a letter of intent, or a good cover letter that really outlines what your strengths are and what you can do for them to help them sell product. That'd probably be that's something I see a lot of, and you know, it's one thing I want to relay to everybody in the room. When you're sending resumes to a potential sponsor, you got to have some kind of letter of intent or an email to that effect that says, these are my strengths and this is how I can help you. Because a lot of times they if you don't give them that information, you're going to be you're either not going to get the time of day, or you're going to be at the basic level for a long time. I mean, it comes down to communication, but that's one of the biggest pet peeves I see out there, is the guys don't give some kind of letter of intent, or they don't really tell me what their strengths are when it comes to moving product and what they can do for their potential sponsor. And then, like Steve hit on, loyalty is a big thing with all us pro staff managers. You know, we all talk. We kind of, you know, that's one thing. This industry is small enough where everybody kind of knows everybody, and if you get a reputation for jumping around different tackles manufacturers and that type of thing, you know, it's gonna haunt you down the road. So, you know, choose your sponsors wisely and stick with them. You know, if you got a reputation for jumping around, it's usually not going to benefit you long term.
Boy, I really get to take this the next step, don't I? I'm going to summarize with you a little bit, and that is, in listening to all the different comments that it's made, it's like anything that we do in life, the first thing is to get yourself prepared. I mean, learn something about the company, have all your documents ready, your bio, your resume. If there's an application that needs to be filled out, if you go online and it says, you know, you can apply between this and this, make sure you go through all that and get yourself prepared before you even go knocking on the door. Run up to one of us or any of our colleagues in the industry, because the first thing we're going to want to know is a little history about you, okay? And once you do that, then you've kind of got that thing set behind you. Then prepare yourself to tell us what you can do for us. We get a lot of handouts. I'm sure every one of us get calls every day, get emails every day. I fish this, I do that. I want to become part of a pro staff. You need to prepare yourself to let us know what you can do for our particular companies. Can you sell our product? Can you represent us well? What kind of history do you have? What tournaments do you fish? I mean, we need to know what you can offer us, which then allows us to start looking at the different levels that we've got, whether it be an entry level. You may be someone that's been in the industry looking to make a change. That brings into a different perspective. And as we've all said time and time again, is communication. You know, whether it be by email, whether it be by telephone, whether it be by leather. I mean, I actually have people still sending things in U.S. mail. Make sure everything is professional looking. Make sure that you've read it through. You've had somebody proof it. You get one chance to make that first impression. And with the hundreds of individuals that contact us throughout the months, throughout the years, looking for sponsorship, you want to set yourself up a little bit more than the previous or the next guy. So take your time and really prepare yourself so that you make an impact and it sticks in our heads as we look to continue to grow our pro staff.
That was very good. I've got one other one as I'm standing here thinking, and it's one of my biggest pet peeves in the sales world, and that is if you call them to be on their pro staff, you better believe that that's the best product on the market and you want to represent it and wear their logo and be proud to wear it. Because if you don't, you shouldn't be there. Because you can't do what you need to do for them as an employee. You're not directly employed, you're an independent contractor, but you can't do for them what you need to if you don't believe that their product is the best. So have you seen that? And if you've got an issue within your group of sponsors where you're not believing it's the best, resign. Best thing you can do for yourself for the future. More questions? Okay, I think what we're going to do is close it off there. We're right on time. I truly appreciate your time and your honesty and your candor. This has been excellent. We've in the past done pro angler panels, and I thought that this was going to be one that would be of the most value of anything we've ever done with regard to having you understand what these professionals do in their daily work to try to get their job done. Last one.
I'm one of the future pros here, and every year we're getting about 300 to 500,000 social media reach, and one thing we're struggling with is how do you find out who to send your sponsorship information to?
That's actually a really good point. Yeah, that would be a good way to do it. And I'll answer that. That's a good point. You can call the NPAA. You can call me, and I have the answer. Oh, you just opened up. No. I didn't open it because No, I don't mind. That's what I'm here for, and Cody knows that. When Cody was executive director, that's what we're here for. If you look in one of the bullets for the benefits of the NPAA, it's networking, industry networking, and that'll start right there. Do you have additional?
Young man, another thing that we work on, and this is Ranger now, that I always tell the people, like in your particular case, get to your local dealer. Talk to them first. In a lot of cases, I'm one of them, you start right there. You start working with that dealer, and they can lead you to the right, they can steer you to the right direction and right course you got to go.
Speaking from, I represent a tackle company, which is a little bit different than the marine side, and I get a lot of people call our Pure Fishing, just our regular 800 number, and they'll talk to somebody in customer service, and then customer service will forward their request, whether it's email or voicemail, onto the, me as a field marketing manager. So it's, a phone call or an email is, in most cases, you'll eventually, you got to be persistent, but you will find the right person to talk to.
Can we give them a round of applause?